How many jobs are we talking about here?
We believe that 36 jobs in total at education are affected by this. Now, some of those jobs, there may be alternative roles available, there may be redeployment opportunities. But when you look at the decimation of education over the last few years, they have lost considerable jobs in teaching and support roles. The pupil-teacher ratio on the Isle of Man used to be a selling point for this island. Now it's worse in some parts of the UK. So I think that we've got a real concern that an already falling standard in education, which the teachers on this island and their support staff are battling with really courageously. So parents should be worried that the standard of education on the Isle of Man is already impacted. Now you take away nursery education, now you take away libraries too, and some of the things that could actually help people to proactively help the standard of their children's education are going to. So I think we're hitting a crisis now in education on the Isle of Man.
Are you surprised the way Peter Caron announced this news? Obviously it was a leak. Do you think that he is still on the side of the worker, or do you think now he's come part of Coman, he's just playing the government line?
Well, clearly he is a minister, so he is part of the government line. I don't think you can criticise him for that.
Are you surprised though?
Job.
The way he's changed?
I am surprised. I am surprised because I'd always believed that in politics you should have beliefs and principles. If you can't hold to those, then you should perhaps resign from posts.
So you think he should resign?
I think if the current policies are completely at odds with his belief system, then yes, that is the honourable and proper thing to do. But if Peter feels that these cuts are consistent with his principles and beliefs and those of the Liberal Vannon Party, then he shouldn't. But I think I'm actually not going to be too hard on Peter Caron, because we asked, was this the minister's decision or was it the Council of Ministers who collectively decided this? And we were very clearly told by the Department of Education that Council of Ministers had approved these cuts collectively. So Peter is only one of many people who bear collective responsibility for these. And I think too that Peter Caron has been put in a very, very difficult position, because education has been cut to the bone over the last few years, and he really has had no alternative. The Council of Ministers should not be imposing the same level of cuts on the Department of Education as they are in other areas, because there isn't the same capacity to make the cuts there as there was 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, this is obviously a leak, so we're talking about something before the budget itself. Surely we'll be back talking to you again straight after the budget, because this could be the start of other areas.
I think so. I mean, I am deeply concerned that we're going to see a lot of areas, because I know that people are really unhappy with the way that money is being spent on the Isle of Man, and you think if this is some of the cuts that are being made at education, you're going to start to question the wisdom of cuts that may have been determined elsewhere. I mean, I want a debate from the Manx public. Do you think the Isle of Man government is making the cuts in the right places at the right time? I think there'd be a resounding...
But yet again, you've accepted there will be cutbacks. At the end of the day, you will see some of your members losing their jobs, whatever happens.
We have already seen some of our members losing their jobs.
But you accept there'll be more to come.
And by and large, you know, some of the cuts that have happened that have meant our members have lost their jobs, you know, we have tried to work with the Isle of Man government. We have accepted that perhaps some of the levels of spending in those areas couldn't continue, that it was a way of saving some of the services ultimately, and we've tried to be constructive and proactive in that. When you get to things like this, you can't accept it. You can't accept nurseries and libraries being closed when apparently fixing rusty piers up the north of the island is a priority. No. The Manx public are not going to wear that. And I think too, politicians really do have to start looking, and they really need to get on board and lead by example. You know, do we need as many politicians on the Isle of Man? No. What about local authorities? We've seen no reform there, and look at the costs that they incur. I think there's some big long-term decisions and projects that need to be looked at and which simply are going off the radar.
The point is, the fact is, you're not going to be happy whatever happens, are you? Because if one person loses their job, you're going to be kicking a fuss up, whatever that place in the government is.
But can I just say that people have lost their jobs,
yes,
and unions haven't kicked up a fuss for that very reason, because we felt that some of the areas where cuts and savings have been made, where jobs have been lost, we felt that publicly, you know, this was something that the public would wear, that there would be no public support to try and question and oppose those decisions. And you can see with the nurseries and libraries that isn't the case. People aren't prepared to take cuts in this area. It's not, you know, I sat with the library staff on Thursday morning when they were told this news, and they were in tears. The emotion in that room was really, really tangible. Not because they were worried about themselves and their jobs. They were thinking about the users. In education, these jobs are vocations. People really care about the services that they provide. So it's not about unions being selfish and looking after their own. We've seen jobs go to the wall. We've lived with that. We're working with it. But libraries, enough is enough.